This was one of those situations where I thought I had everything ready, was good to go, and then 10 seconds before I was gonna swap over to this scene, I was like, I forgot my water, and I didn't send out a going live tweet, and I didn't even set up my captions, and I had forgotten to turn on my PlayStation. So we're starting out strong today, clearly. I think at this point I do have everything ready to go, but if I don't, it's fine. We'll figure it out. Sorry, I'm trying to, like, move my water to a more intelligent place where I don't knock it over and spill it all over my electronics. Hello, friends. Welcome. Yeah, no, I know. PlayStation does need to be on for PlayStation Week. I am aware. But it's effort? It's kind of effort to turn it on. It's on now. Don't worry about it. Hi, Fruity. Also, I'm sure Sam is already driving at this point, but hello, Sam, I love you too. Drive home safely, friend. How's it going? How are y'all doing? How are things? Hi, Devo. Do you want to come here? Come here. Come say hi. Come here. No, say hello to me. Come here. It is Monday, and I am already exhausted and ready for the week to be done, but maybe it's just because I'm super excited for this weekend. Come here. Don't just look at me and act like you're gonna hop up and then not. I'm not gonna invite you up anymore. That and, you know, I'm still getting used to, like, working. It's weird. It's wild. I really like it. I really like my job, and I like everything that I'm doing. And I'm more or less, like, into the schedule, but I'm still, like, adapting to waking up as early as I do. / I got up even earlier today for no reason in particular, so that was fun. Doing great. You don't get to yell at me. I've invited you up and you said no. Devo's just gonna be a doofus on the floor, because that's what he does. But yeah, it has inadvertently turned into a week where we're just gonna be playing a couple of PlayStation games, but that's all we're doing this week. Every time that I stream. So that's gonna be fun. We're starting out with some The Last of Us Part 2. I have finally decided that we're gonna actually do this thing. I've talked about it a bit before. I have played most of this before. Like right when it came out, I picked it up and played it, and I got very upset about a lot of things. Story-wise and character-wise. That wasn't necessarily what everyone else was getting upset about. And so I figured setting it down and giving it some time would be good. It's now been like 2 years. Oopsies. And it seems as good a time as any to maybe get back to it and try and reassess if I still hate it as much as I did. Gameplay-wise, I thought it was really, really fun. I do remember enjoying it, so it should be a good time anyway. Plus it'd just be interesting to get everyone else's opinion on it as well as we're going through. I think that's about it. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah. So I think we'll probably just start. You wanna just, start this dang game? Let's just start this dang game. Probably unmute it. It's possibly gonna be really loud. Or it's gonna be fine. That's possible, too. I don't want any of this. Get that out of here. Do a new game. Starting on moderate. That's all fine as is. Sure, great. Let's go. It's go time. Time go. I really hope that the sound is fine. It's gonna be great. Yeah, I will probably rant a bit. That might happen. But like I said, I think it'd be interesting, especially with our particular group of pals, discuss some of it. See what we all think of it. Especially since, you know, Ellie's confirmed gay. That's kind of cool. And we're gay. I'm gay, at least. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I wanted that loading screen to be done. And it's done now. Oh boy. This is gonna be great. But also, rip it and rip it.
I don't know what happened. I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
Him.
You go halfway across the country with someone, She needed her immunity to mean something. Maybe I was starting to buy into that old cure business.
If the sound is weird, let me know.
Maybe I just wanted to do right by her. And then we made it. We found the firefly. Because of her, they were actually going to make a cure. The only catch, it would kill her. Sweet Jesus.
Doctor?
What are you doing? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
Jesus Christ, Joe. What do you do?
That's not what Marlene said.
Saved her.
And you know it, Fruity. I don't think she was gonna be okay after they scraped all the mushroom off.
Come on, baby girl. I got you. I got you.
Cover the exit. Don't let him get away.
Remember that rampage Joel went on? It was great.
That's a lot. What does Ellie know?
I told her they just ran some tests. I told her her immunity meant nothing.
Right? Right? I think Tommy really needs to know how rude the
And she
Warners
believed
were.
it?
I didn't say otherwise.
The Warners were pretty
We should head
rude.
back.
Let's go, buddy. Forgot how pretty this game was. Let's go! It's horse time. Can I go faster? Is this it? Is this the fastest speed this horse has? Weird, tall, long dog. Right? It's because Tommy is pretty great. That's how we go faster. Tommy, I'm gonna beat you. Never mind. Horse says I'm not allowed to go past you. JK. Now I can go. No, Tommy! You're gonna kill me in horse! Rude. So rude. So rude. I don't know if this is the way that I'm supposed to go, but this is where we're going. This seems accurate. Idiot deer. This is fine. Let's go. Let me in. Yeah. Horse. Horse, go. There we go. We technically beat Tommy here. That's all that
It's okay.
matters.
I got him. You go on.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
About what we were talking about earlier. I can't say I'd have done different. I'll take it to the grave if I have to.
Thanks, Tommy. I love you. Can you give him a hug, please? Joel.
I'll see you later, Tom.
That's not a hug. Hug your brother. Listen here. Tommy is a delight. And he deserves a hug. Oh. Hi, Bono. How's it going? How are you doing?
Hello. Ellie?
Aw. I hope it gets better for you. I'm doing alright. Monday. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna spook her. Don't scare her.
Jesus. Almost gave me a heart attack.
I tried knocking, but
Hey,
hey,
Babies.
what's up, Joel?
just checking in. Folks are, talking about how impressed they are with you and how well you're helping out.
It's good.
Yeah. Tommy and I went out riding the other day, and he told me a joke, and I thought about you. It's oh shoot, I forgot it. Something about a clock. How do you?
Joel, it's pretty late and I gotta get up in a few hours.
Yeah. I know. I'm gonna get out of your hair. Just I want to show you something. Just give me 1 second.
Joel is trying so hard and I love it. I love Joel.
What's this?
Some folks call this thing here a guitar.
Alright, the dad.
Funny.
You want to hear something?
Okay.
Okay. Promise me that you won't laugh.
I won't laugh. I won't.
I might.
I'm trusting you.
Oh, I forgot about this. I'm playing the guitar.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts, I've no need for any more. 'Cause I believe, and I believe 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me.
Did very nice, Joel. Good job.
There you go.
Well, that didn't suck.
I'll take what I can get. She's yours.
No. No. I don't know the first thing
I
about
promised
this.
that I'd teach you how to play.
You did.
So what do you say, tomorrow night? First lesson?
Deal.
Precious. Surprise, we're just watching a movie now. It's not actually a game. It's just us
Do
watching this.
you remember the joke?
What is the downside to eating a clock? It's time consuming.
That's so dumb.
Very good.
Yeah. Good night, kiddo.
Love. So long.
Shit. Fuck. Hey,
Morning.
sorry, I totally overslept. Just give me a minute and I'll get dressed.
I heard you had quite a night after I left.
She kissed me. It was just Dina being Dina. She didn't mean anything by it.
I was talking about your fight with Seth. Wait. You kissed Dina?
Oh!
I thought this...
We're broken up 1 week and you make a move on my girl?
No. She was probably just trying to make you jealous. I would never... Fuck, this is awkward.
I'm messing with you, man. I don't care. Get dressed.
You're the worst.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
Get your stuff together, we're already
I
late.
hate Dina. Just gonna put that out there immediately.
Okay.
hated Dina. Couldn't even tell you why at this point. I think she just annoyed me. Anything else? Any other goodies in here? Reflections. Right, I also miss Left Behind Girlfriend. What was her name? Sarah? No. Riley.
Hey, is
It was
Joel up?
Riley, right?
Got reports of infected out north. We sent him and Tommy out early to scout.
That sucks.
Yeah. Can't imagine they got
Yeah,
much
no.
sleep.
Left Behind Girlfriend. Very good.
Shut up. I was just about to get up.
Oh
I
no.
was.
You got everything?
Yes.
We'll pretend we know what her name is. She was delightful though.
Heads up. You're the talk of the town this morning.
Left Behind was so good. It
Let me see
was
if I got this.
incredibly
right.
good.
You kissed Dina,
She kissed me.
which triggered Seth to call you a not so nice word.
Yep.
Then Joel decked him,
More of a push.
and then you got mad at Joel. That part confused me.
It was a strange night, man.
Sounds exciting.
Okay, but what if I leave and come over here?
Hey,
What if we abandon Jesse and just come over here? There's nothing over here. Great. Oh, sorry. It's gonna knock people over?
Time.
It's fine. Also, I want to make sure that all subtitles are on. Okay. I do want... Maybe? This is fine. We'll leave all this behind. Or all this reading chat and looking at this at the same time.
Hey.
This seems fine. Jesse, don't get comfortable. We're going.
Hey, so we're okay, right?
you and me? Yeah, of course. Dina and I are done.
I know. It's just I don't want you to think.
Ellie, we're cool. Promise.
Thanks.
Also, I don't know that we're gonna do a bunch as far as like trying to find a cheat or like items and things like that. We're probably just here strictly for story.
Yeah, get a good scratch.
Dog. Not gonna be super completionist about this. If we find it, we find it. We'll do some exploring, but
Oh, hi.
it's mostly us just doing stuff. Also, yeah, dog pet. Of course I'm gonna pet the dog. Give me an option for it, I'm gonna pet the dog.
Want to grab some breakfast?
No. Where's Maria?
In the back.
Ellie, there you are. Come here.
It's happening. It's happening, Sylvie.
Seth's got something
Hi,
to
friends.
say to you.
I don't want to hear what that bigot has to say.
Do it for me, please.
Fine.
Seth. Seth, come here.
Hey. Look, last night I was drinking too much.
Sure.
I'm trying to say I'm sorry.
Then say it.
Maria tells me that you and Dina are headed out. Made you some sandwiches.
Thank you for the sandwiches.
For steak.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah. Well, be safe out there.
Yep.
Stop trying to be an
I
asshole.
appreciate that.
Or stop.
What you got there?
Start.
Bigot
Try to
sandwiches.
stop being an asshole is what I was trying to say.
Smells good.
They're
Words.
yours.
You sure?
It's fine.
Let me walk you out.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like I have some issues with this game, but a lot of them weren't what all of the big nerds were saying they had issues with it.
Those boys have been up for far too long.
Overall, I think the story
Where do
was
I meet them?
fine.
Northwest Lookout. They're
There were
scheduled
just
to
like a
arrive
bunch
later
of little
today.
things that I was like, I don't like this. This was unnecessary. Why did you choose to do that?
Of course.
And at this point, it's
I was
been
gonna
2
check out the
years
creek
since
trails.
it happened, so I
I'll need someone
can't
else to cover it.
recall all of it. But,
Ellie,
you know.
You know the creek trails?
Babby!
Really?
Dina's done it a bunch. I'll have the two of them take it.
Well, that solves that.
Oh, there's a
Ellie,
snowball fight that I have to do,
Can I talk
right?
to you for a sec?
Why?
So,
Look, I don't know what's going on with you and Joel.
Maria,
Guy really cares about you. And I'm sure he didn't mean to.
we're fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to pry.
Thank you,
Be
Maria.
safe.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yo, Dina, assignments.
Just give me a minute.
Ugh,
You get your
Dina.
girlfriend to the stables, please.
I also just really enjoyed like
Yeah.
the gameplay of
Can I talk to
it.
you?
Like it was very smooth.
Hey, guys! I'm tapping out. Come on! How long?
And yeah, the visuals are amazing and the sound design is fantastic.
Hey.
Hey,
Dina, go away. I
Um,
hate you.
I just want to say sorry for running off last night.
Oh, it's okay. I totally get it. I felt bad.
Why?
Because I started the whole thing and I shouldn't have kissed you in front of all of those people. And
No, you were drunk. It's fine.
well, still, I don't want you to think.
No, I'm not reading into it or anything. Just
You know what I love about you? How you let me finish my sentences.
all right. Well, we should probably get going.
Yeah.
Ow! What the fuck? I'm not even playing. Cause you're a chicken. You're a chicken.
I'm gonna destroy these children.
You want to fuck him up? Yeah, I do.
You asked for it. You better run, you little shits. Holy shit! Get to cover. Go, go! Gotcha. We're on the board, suckers. No.
I am very bad at this.
Eat that.
Oh no!
I'm on that kid.
Stop! There's too many children!
Fight you, like for real. Oh, you like that?
Okay.
Fuck yeah. I mean, frick. Don't tell your mom. I'm coming for you, Tiny. Suck it. Boom. Eat snow, you
I don't want to
shit.
climb. I don't want to climb, game.
Ow.
Game!
I know where you live, Alex. In your face. We're winning. I see you.
I almost threw that at Dina. That would have been fine.
I dodged that one. Oh, you better hide.
Ellie, pick up a fucking snowball.
Eat snow. Oh, what a shot. Come on. Ha. Parents don't love you.
Why are some of these snowballs homing in on me?
Ow. Okay.
Oh my god.
Good shirt.
Freaking kids.
Oh, dang it. Gotcha.
This is horrible.
Oh, dang it. If you were not a child, I would pelt you. In the face.
What is happening? Dina, do a thing! How did you hit me through that?
Sneaky.
This is horrible.
You can't get me. Oh no, you got snow in your hair. You think you can get me?
Children. This is horrible and I hate everything. Dina wasn't even doing anything. Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter.
Get her! Help me!
Can I just leave her there? Can I just go?
Get off of her, you monsters!
Who would ever want to avenge Duck?
We actually have some work to do.
I guess I asked for that, huh?
Yep.
I just don't want to be here
Let's
with
go.
Dina anymore. She's horrible and shallow. I'm remembering now.
So, Jesse wants us to do the creek trails. He's gonna relieve Joel and Tommy.
Oh, that's nice he assigned us together. You're gonna like this route.
Morning, girls.
Morning.
If only she didn't come back from getting tackled by the 6-year-olds.
I'll bring him in.
Thank you.
Let's go. Get me out of here. Don't get kicked. You're doing that wrong. Hey, you're doing that wrong. Give me my horse. Give me my dog.
Look who's here.
Thanks.
This would be fine.
Come on.
Weird tall long dog, I love you so much.
Ah,
You are so
look who
great.
decided to join
You are
us.
my best friend.
Yeah.
One for you. And one for you. Open it up. Settle down, children. All right. You all know the drill.
It's true. It's
Run your
true.
routes, mark your logbooks.
The weird
clear
tall
any
long dog
infected
content in
shit.
this game.
You run into anything
Perfect.
you can't handle.
Very good.
You come back. Be smart about it. All right. Get going.
Let's go! Bye, Jesse. Woof.
Yeah.
Let's go, horsey. Let's go! Love the weird tall long dogs. They're having a sleepover. Hi, Abby. Is Laura Bailey.
What were you dreaming about?
Was I talking?
You're doing your teeth grinding thing.
Where have you been?
Not woman.
Grab your gear. I want to show you something.
What?
Trust me.
Woman. And her friend, man.
Come on. This way.
Oh god, I forgot about the jump!
You sure you don't want to do this when the sun's out?
This is what we're doing now.
No. Can't wait.
Let's
You
go.
don't want to just tell me?
You need to see it.
Alright, I'm done.
What are you doing wandering around out here by yourself?
Been
Is this
restless.
not how you
Me
walk?
too.
This
Feel
is
like the
how I
farther
get
south
around.
we go, the prettier it's gotten.
You want to keep going? Just drive all the way to Mexico?
I've thought about it.
You can see Manny's hometown.
Yeah, I don't see that
Okay.
living up to his
Tutorials,
stories
please.
anymore.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Hey buddy, when'd you come
You
here?
do all this in the dark?
Yes. Come on.
Where are you going?
You
Where are
keep
you
going
going?
like this, we're gonna be tired for today's trip.
Not that far.
Fair enough.
Mel okay? She seemed out of it these past few days.
Jazz hands, great
She'll
way
be
to
You stop being weird.
to
You're
make
freaking me
make your
out.
walk a little more
Weird.
don't fall into the water, you idiot. Abby,
Are you breaking up with Mel?
What? No. You wish.
I've had my fill. Thank you.
yoink.
Ouch.
We can't all be as graceful as you.
Clearly.
What is that?
You'll be fine.
It's too high.
Come on.
Come on, let's go.
Shit.
Well, not like that.
Eyes on me. Abby. Stop looking down.
Owen, do we have to go back this way?
Woman is no longer
Consider
Abby.
it an
Man
opportunity
is
to work on your
no longer man, but
Work
Owen.
my foot up your ass.
Abby. Stop flirting.
Names. All right, let's go. We watched it happen.
Is this it?
We made it.
Holy shit. It's a fucking city.
Yeah.
Have you told anyone else?
Wanted you to see it first. Saw an armed patrol go from town to an outpost over there. A few more outposts in between. They have electricity, guns.
Horses, weird, tall, long dogs.
We can figure it out.
Okay. Assuming he's in there, how do we get to him?
We can corner one of the patrols and get confirmation, and then, I don't know, maybe find a way to lure him out.
Yeah, okay. Sure they'll be happy to offer that information up.
Well, then we make them.
Do you hear yourself?
Okay, what do you want to do? What is going on with you?
Mel's pregnant.
Oh. Okay.
It's not just that, though.
Should I say congrats?
When everyone else sees this, they're gonna want to turn back.
We can convince him, right? I fucking knew I couldn't count on you.
It's always hard to find a way to introduce yourself to the neighbors, right?
But not at any cost. Hey.
Don't.
I understand. I'm the person who just refuses to introduce themselves to neighbors. Don't talk to me, I won't talk to you. It's gonna be great. For all of us, because we won't have to interact. And I'll love that for me, and you'll love that for you. And I'll love that for you, and you'll love that for me. It's just gonna be great. It's wonderful, actually.
I'll do the whole thing on my own.
It's a terrifying sound, and I think it was just her boot scraping against the log. Also, I have such an issue with Abby wanting to, like, seek revenge this entire time. Ma'am. Listen. It's been how many years? How many people have died during this? Game, I did that the exact same way I did the other 2 times. Why did it work this time? Oh my goodness. It's fine, she wasn't using it. Noses, unimportant. She's not a dog, she doesn't need it to sniff around. It's fine.
He got Mel pregnant.
It's true. What do you want to look at it? No, it's dead. Abby is just all muscle. Just pure muscle. Nothing can get through that. Abby, what are you doing? Please, I did not stop pushing forward. Just push it. You good, buddy? Okay. Ah! Oh god! Sorry! Genuinely thought something came at me from the left side. Holy shit! Ugh. Abby, I don't think punching the zombie is gonna do anything! Great! Fantastic. Oh. Right? I do love it when a game tells me what button I have to press to escape a grapple. It's very, very nice when it does that. Listen, I hit it! Abby just ran into a tree. Oh my god. Abby's gonna die. This is it. This is how she dies. This resolves so many issues for everybody. We thought her nose was broken before. No, I understand how this works, game. Right? This is the good ending. We've done it good, actually. Where? Man! Okay, this is fine. These dodges are horrible. Abby, fucking do something! Fun fact, I played this on hard the first time that I went through, and I don't remember having this much difficulty. What is happening right now? What's happening? I will eventually get used to when I actually have to hit dodge. Why can't I stun zombies? Why are zombies as fast as they are? It's Elden Ring all over again with the 20,000 second wind up. This is fine. We'll just watch Abby get her shit bashed in a few times. This is fine. Not gonna. I'm gonna let her get got. Why are you crouching? Why are you crouching, Abby? Let's go. Okay. This is fine. Not even an issue. I'll consider dodging those when we're Ellie. That's fine. Until then, though, we'll just let it happen. R2, not L2. I know directions. Also, I know how to get out, Abby. I was looking for items, okay? Listen.
This is a bad idea, Abby.
Hello? Get out of here, guy. Alright, let's go. Abby should have been cool like Tammin and just, like, jumped onto the roof or something. Is there anything neat in here? Medkit. I like that. I'm a fan of those. Anything else? More ammo. Also a fan of that. Tammin's voice actor for Abby. Yes, please. I'm not even going to attempt the voice that you do for it. It's gonna be horrible, and I'm not willing to. Look, I'll embarrass myself plenty of ways. Not like this, though. Can I? Abby, you could jump over that. Ma'am, you could absolutely jump over that. Don't go prone. I wanted to crouch. It's there. Let's go! The way the zombie was bending was horrible! Oh god! Oh. Anyone else? Just us now? Just me? Just me and this corpse? Okay. Alright. Anything nice in here? Has everything been pretty much wiped out? Oh. Oh. Oh, zombie. Where are you going? Which way are you going? Nope. Time to go to sleep, zombie. Good night. Oh. I'm not here. You don't see me. Maybe this is why I don't remember having a ton of difficulty with combat. I think I sneaked pretty hard when I first played through, because why fight things head on when I can just shoot them from afar, you know? Okay. I don't need to be looking for as much stuff as I am. There's the reload button.
I'm so lost.
Well, unlost. Get unlost!
Shit.
Okay, this is... not ideal. This is fine, actually. I said it wasn't ideal. I was lying. This is perfectly fine. We got this handled. There's two of them. Honestly, though. Siren stealth is incredibly tense and horrifying, but very slow and inaccurate. Okay, let's go. This, easy peasy. Okay. Zombie! Zombies! Oh. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, well. Please. There we go. Okay, I understand the timing a little better. It just keeps bringing up the prompt for dodge, like, so early.
Please let that be it.
And when I see a prompt, I'm gonna hit the button.
The weather's getting bad. Where's the
You know?
road?
But you don't want to hit it when right as it shows up. The prompt is actually alive. I mean, that sounds about right, but it's they've been very charge heavy lately. You know?
Where's the patrol?
But good to know. It's also just weird getting used to different combat after the last few games that we've done, not having combat or being incredibly basic. We'll get there. It's fine. I realize I'm more worried about it than probably anyone else is. It's fine.
Come on. This way. Right behind you.
Alright.
You miss being with him? With Jesse? No. Been together for so long. Look, Jesse's great. I love his parents. They will always be family, but we were just on autopilot.
Okay.
Hey, how come we never talked about this stuff? I don't know. It didn't feel... You never really talked to me about Kat. Yeah, 'cause there isn't much to talk about. Yow. I got the impression that you didn't really like her. I don't care about her one way or the other. Okay. No, I think she's a talented artist. I've grown to like that tattoo of yours. What's so big of you?
I want this horse to move
And I think she
faster.
wasn't
There
right
we
for
go.
you. Interesting. Shut up. Okay. You can
I don't
take some
actually
right
need to press X. The horse just does it automatically. Fun fact.
here. Hey. You want to see something spectacular?
Can we get a blanket for these weird tall long
Nothing
dogs?
is that spectacular. Oh, brother. Come on, stupid.
Ina, go away. You're not funny, and I don't like you. Give me that. I will forever complain about Dina this entire game. For as long as she's around. You don't need to stand that close to her.
What do you think of this view, huh?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, this route has its perks.
Where do we sign in?
Come on.
Ellie, we can do better.
Who do you used to do this route with? Jesse?
Eugene.
Right. Oh, Eugene. Man, he was funny.
Oh, yeah.
Let me through. Ellie, we can go.
He taught me about rewiring
Oh my
electronics
God.
and stuff.
May we all be that sharp 73. May we all make it to 73.
Go. Dina, you're so slow. Let me up. Let me up. Let me up. Let me up. Can I steal some things? A bong.
Hey, I'm gonna guess this bong was Eugene's.
Huh. It's mine. He gave it to me.
Hey, do you have any on you, actually?
Oh, I wish. Eugene always had some on him.
Oh, they're so cool. I don't care. Alright. Let's go. We steal everything that's here. It's all mine now. Sign on in. Oh, obviously not. Never. Got Dina and Eugene all clear. Found a wild horse stuck in the ice, got it out. Taking it back to camp, skipping the next lookout. All clear. One clicker in the basement of 2358 Mountain View. Cleared it. Dead goat by Sunny Day's retirement. Found 3 runners inside. Cleared them. 1 runner along the main road. Cleared it. All clear. Snow's pretty rough. Gonna camp here tonight. All clear. Killed 3 runners outside the suburbs. All clear. Found a dead deer just outside the tower. Looks chewed up and no infected. All clear. Bad rainstorm. River ahead flooded. Camping here tonight, then backtracking in the morning. All clear. Saw footprints. Followed them to a small encampment. 2 adults and 1 child that needed medical attention. We'll be skipping the next lookout and taking them straight to town. All clear. All clear. 2 clickers by the gas station cleared them. Otherwise clear. All clear. All clear.
And there.
Boop.
Come here.
I don't want to. Yeah, it's just a weird lamp.
Up ahead's our last stop. Take a look.
It's a lantern. You what am I doing? Where am I
Here's
looking?
the town. With the big tower thing?
Yep.
You just
That's
you
where the
light
next
you light it
lookout
up
is.
and then you can walk around with it and be able to see at
At
night.
a supermarket?
Yeah. We'll pass that on our way into town.
Ah, there's a ski lodge. That's the one on Tommy and Joel's route.
That's the one.
Anything else?
I can see a storm. Gonna have some good sledding tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Let's get back to the horses.
Okay. Well, this was a great use of our time, Dina. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
Question. Were you wearing those same clothes yesterday?
Oh!
They're clean.
No judgment.
It's patrol, you know. We're here to kill infected, not to look fancy.
Still look nice.
Thank you.
Dina, stop.
Come on.
Again, I will just be complaining about Dina the entire time. Horse. A horse. Horse. Hey, horse. I need you
I think we should go out like Eugene.
to long dog your way out of here.
No, from old age. Like, living a long life.
You? No way. Come on. You're way too reckless.
Look who's talking.
Well, you'll probably die from hypothermia from wearing canvas sneakers in the snow.
I am wearing boots today. You know how you're gonna die?
Ooh, let me guess. You're gonna kill me?
No. Maybe. Fuck you.
Just her
Hey, should we
banter
check these houses out?
is horrible
quiet,
as well.
We can if you want. I bet they still got supplies.
Right? Honestly, take the shot, Ellie. You deserve it. Go for it. Just take her out. Dina's just so annoying. And it sucks. It's not good. I do want all of the little bits that are everywhere. Don't want to stop too much. But also, what if there are things here?
What do you know about this place?
Just another evacuated neighborhood. Infected almost never make it out this far. We usually catch them on the outer perimeter.
That one's
What are you doing?
noted. Not hanging out with you.
I was thinking of inviting Joel to watch a movie.
Oh. You guys good?
Yeah.
What movie are you guys gonna watch? What's Joel into?
Curtis and Viper 2. That's the one that's been on my radar for a while.
We're gonna watch Fatal Deviation.
Well, we used to watch these cheesy 80s action movies.
Whoa!
He's really into them.
Oh no.
I actually really like them too. What about you? What are you doing later?
Some people were talking about sneaking out. Going sledding.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. You wanna meet up after?
No!
Okay.
No! Ellie, say no!
Maybe I'll play guitar for you.
Okay.
Gross. Dear Santa, I was a good boy this year. Can I please have a big dog? I want to keep my daddy safe while he goes hunting for food. Can also help protect our house from the monsters. Could also help keep me company when daddy closes himself in the bedroom. Oh.
What's Curtis and Viper 2 about?
Okay, so 2 former commandos that go rogue to fight bad guys. And I think in this one, they go up against Russian spies or something.
I'm more interested in this than I thought I would be.
Oh, dang, I thought I could run her over. Can't do it. Not allowed. I think I can check. No, it's fine. We've checked enough.
Fuck. The temperature dropped.
Whoop.
Easy.
Moose! It's a lot of blood. I mean, moose are very large.
Smell. Looks like infected did this.
How many do you think it would take to bring down a moose?
Many.
More than one. Where the hell are they?
Let's go find them.
Moose. Also, look at these dogs. Those are cool looking dogs. Anything?
Shit. I hear
Many.
some inside.
Many,
How
actually.
the fuck did they get in there?
Here.
More importantly, how do we get in? Tina,
Right here.
this way.
We get in here. One moose to kill infinity zombies. Dina! Good eating. Okay.
It's down.
That's one.
Moose are terrifying, by the
See
way.
if we can get around to the back of the supermarket.
Good
Just-
idea.
Horrific. Giant mounds of muscle and antler. I'm trying a quick throw.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine.
Nice throw, by the way.
Thanks.
I don't need you to tell me I did good. I know I did good. Listen.
Let her get in here.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's a good question.
What's the most infected you've ever taken down on patrol?
It's gotta be the one I had with Joel a year or so ago. It was like, I don't know, a dozen? You?
cleared about 20 once. There was a group passing through.
Wait,
Dina, this way.
give me this. I just wanna...
Let's keep it quiet. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, she's actually doing something. Amazing. Thanos says Twitch, welcome in. Also, thank you. I'm a fan of them. How are you doing? How's it going? Oh, where's the other one? Oh, don't run! That's the wrong button. Oh, it's fine. No one noticed. It was planned there. Good to know. Oh, Dina scared me. I just I just don't expect much of Dina, honestly, ever. But you know, it's just me. Oh, no, don't notice me. Okay. There's a way to swap. No. Okay, this is fine. I got very concerned and just felt like I needed to be quiet. Honestly, though, it's like, look, we're in a dangerous situation. I need you to do a thing, pal. I think we're okay for right now. I do want to, like... So I have played this before. It's been basically since it came out, and I never finished it. I got real dang close and then just sort of stopped. But I think we'll probably leave it on the default setting for right now. Only did it the once. Cool. So yeah, we do still, even with me having played it before, just as a heads up, we do like to try and keep chat vaguely spoiler-free, for people who haven't experienced it.
Looks like it.
But
We've still got to get the ones in the supermarket.
yeah.
Let's keep circling.
If you do have spoilers or anything, just make sure that you're keeping it kind of vague for people who haven't played before. But yeah. Light for resources and everything else at medium for challenge. Makes sense. I think when I played through it the first time, I had the difficulty set to, like, hard? And I don't remember having too much issue with most things. Granted, it's been a bit,
Ellie,
and we've been on a stint with games lately where it's just, where there's not been a ton of combat. Slash, mostly has been mouse and keyboard recently, so doing this with, the controller is
there's a hole in the roof over there.
a bit new. Mostly it's just been a little bit since I've actually used my PlayStation, so bear with us.
Thanks.
Look.
For real!
Right.
No, we need...
Let's figure out how
You
to get in
need...
there.
you need more than just a couple bullets to take out a small horde. I want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I have played God of War, the new one at least. I've played the some of the originals as well. But I played the newer one and I really liked it. But it's been, like I said, it's just been a bit since I've used my PlayStation. So are you doing anything? No, you're just trying to be silly. Hi, Get Cozy! You gotta play Data Boy! Fruity. It's on PlayStation Plus this month. Hold on a second. Thank you.
Ellie, are you clean?
We're fine. We're fine.
Just bang
Also, this is not my
Please
first
die of
time
old
playing
age and not
through.
because you get infected.
I was actually just saying, I have played through most of this before. I stopped very near the end, because I got particularly annoyed with some, story beats. And so, yeah. But like I said, I have played through most of this before. So not really a first playthrough. Is Ghost of Tsushima in the new PS Plus catalog? I just have the basic subscription, so I don't know if it's available through that, but if it is, guess what I'm gonna be playing next? Probably on my own time, since we mostly do horror around here, but hold on. Ma'am, I'm sorry to God for what I did. I wasn't gonna hurt you. I didn't want anything from your store except for the drugs. My husband came at me. What choice did I have? My little sister stopped feeling her feet. Needed the insulin. Everyone was hoarding the stuff. What choice did I have? I hope he survives. I'm sorry. Well, did it help? Did you get it to her? Did your sister get the insulin? Yeah, I actually am playing the quarry this weekend with my friend. This weekend on Friday specifically.
See any way to that roof?
Yeah.
Not sure.
I was gonna play it earlier, but my friend and fellow streamer, Mayor Emmy, is gonna be coming over and we're gonna be playing together, doing the co-op. I'm very excited about it.
This way.
Nice. I mean, it's a brand new game. I wouldn't expect you to have gone through it multiple times just yet. But awesome.
I'm in.
Did you like it? I'm a big fan of the other Supermassive games. The Dark Picture anthologies have been really fun. And Until Dawn obviously is very good. I am starting to sense a bit of a theme here. Nice.
Hey.
Good to know.
Got some alcohol.
Yeah, I'm super excited about
Oh,
it. It's taken a lot to not like sit down and just play it on my own time because I'm super stoked, but I'm gonna wait. It's gonna be worth the wait. I think I know I've got one or two of the Metro games, and I've definitely heard like mixed things about them as a whole. So I don't know.
I see spores in there. Masks on.
Got it.
Oh, right. People don't know that Ellie's immune.
Remember, I don't want to have to shoot you in the face.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Okay, but Dina, what if I want to shoot you? Consider.
All these spores mean they've been here for a while. Keep your eyes peeled for older infected.
Dog!
Is this part of the supermarket?
Dog was employee of the month. What a good dog.
I think we're above it.
What a good dog. Okay, but Dina, I don't want to go just yet. I want to loot things. You gotta give me time to loot some items. Alright? Hang on just a second, ma'am. Let me find the combination for this. I don't think I do. Because like I said, I didn't finish it. I got really close to the end, but didn't actually get all the way there. Yo, Kristen, left the real shit in the safe for you combo is the date my good boy got employee of the month. Don't fucking sell those or give them away. That's for your back, alright? Feel better, Mina. No, it's all good. Jeez, how dare you not keep track of everything all of the time? That's a joke. I can't stress that enough. Okay, so is it... Oh no, or 07/13? July 13th? Or July of 2013? Oh, it's a 3. 7. I've gone the wrong way entirely. That's okay. 20. I'm going the wrong way again, because what are numbers and what is counting? Oh
shit.
I have to make sure. Sometimes my tone of voice doesn't necessarily match what I'm trying to say, and my sarcasm comes out incredibly dry, and I just need to make sure that people know I'm not trying to be mean. These are the things that I... Well... Thanks a lot, Dina. Hey! Check your gamer posture! Clickers. Okay. Clickers still scare the shit out of me. Okay.
Clickers. Here we go.
We do have a de-shrimping option in our... Sorry, I'm distracted by clickers. Bad noises. De-goblin, shrimpin', gamer posture. We have a redeem to de-shrimp in the channel points section. Which if somebody redeems any of the self-care options in there, recommended that you all fuck. Ah! Okay, that's fine. But yeah, if somebody redeems one of the self-care channel redemptions, it's recommended that everybody does it, because we all gotta take care of our silly gamer bodies, right? Okay, stealth kill. Kill it. Yeah, so neurodivergent specifically, deals with people who process information differently. So I personally, deal with bipolar disorder as well as being on the autism spectrum. Clickers, please! And so it does encapsulate some of the mental health stuff, but is more specific towards, people who have a different means of processing information. Yeah, and aromanticism is people who either don't experience or have a lessened experience of romantic attraction to people. I identify as a queer kid. And part of that for me is identifying as a romantic. No, it's all good. Hey, we appreciate people asking questions and learning stuff. Can't expect you to know everything. You know? But yeah, like I would like to think that as a whole, our community is specifically, like the group of people that we have that hang out with us are all very good, and very nice and kind about answering questions if you've got genuine questions about any of those kinds of things. As long as you're being respectful and kind about you know, asking and learning, we're here to help. Right? I know that in some of their defense, obviously I can't speak for everyone, but I know that especially as people in marginalized communities, people who do handle or deal with mental health mental health things or people who identify as being a part of the LGBTQ plus community, or people who are, you know, of minority groups and stuff, like, tend to be a little more defensive because we kind of have to be for our own safety. But no, I think you can generally tell when people are being sincere about the questions that they're asking and stuff. For sure.
I'll make you a
Yeah,
present.
no, like I said, if you got questions about any of that stuff, more than happy to ask or answer, not ask. I'm not asking questions. Molotovs! Give.
Thanks.
Eee! I just want to wiggle the bottle for a second.
Careful with that. We're not done.
The Muffin Man? Do I know the Muffin Man? Who lives on Drury Lane? I do remember that the Molotovs got nerfed, and it's tragic, but I still like watching everything get set on fire. It's a good scene. I was talking about this not too long ago with someone, but like, Shrek? Genuinely a good movie. Like, set aside all the memes and stuff, it's a good movie. Oh, goodness. Kinda wanna rewatch it now. It's been a hot topic around me lately. It is an enjoyable time. We do have fun with it. This is gonna go horribly. Oh, I shouldn't have committed to coming over here. Oh, I shouldn't have come over here. I regret everything. Don't notice me, don't notice me, don't notice me. Oh god. I haven't thought about Shrek is love, Shrek is life in a minute. Oh, sorry. The amount of stress that clickers cause me is intense. They are a lot. It's like one of the few, like, video game enemies that I can come back to and still, like, have a visceral response to. I hear that sound and I'm just immediately panicked. Yeah, I know there's a clicker! Dina! I know! I'm trying to handle the situation, alright? It's just the noise at this point that does it for me. The fact that we, like, can immediately do stealth kills on him is great and wonderful, and I love it. Definitely more manageable now, but I still just can't with the noises. Emmy! It's my friend, Emmy! Thanos! Thank you for the follow. Oh, where is it? Fuck! Dina, do a thing! Dina, do a thing! Dina, do... Dina, where is it? Oh, okay. No, it means a lot to me that you think we're cool enough to follow. Welcome to the gang.
You know what? I'm impressed with us.
Yeah.
I love the Enderman noises. Real talk. I like the noises that Endermen make. They're little burbling sounds.
And take a fucking break.
Woof! Okay. Well, hey, we did the thing. We did. But yeah, hi, Emmy. How's it going, friend? How are you doing?
Okay, here's here's what we're gonna do. You're just gonna hurl me up through that hole in the roof.
Okay.
Yay! Where? Over here. No, 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 Fruity, no, you can't. No, no, incorrect. No. I love all 7 of the pages. That last one, that 8th one, get out of here. It's not true. I'm so excited about the thing that you're working on, Emmy. Not gonna mention it. I'm not gonna ruin it, but I'm very stoked. Alright. Tina, do you wanna...
There's a cable.
Okay.
Help me out.
Well, I would love to, but I don't have a prompt. There it is. Also, the drawing.
Here we go.
I don't. I am happy being an old lady. Being 18, I don't know if this is how it was for anyone else, but being 18 was miserable for me. Appreciate getting older. Aww, that's fair. Just if our cats could remain kittens forever, that'd be perfect. Please and thank you. Let me stay the same age I am. But let me have my baby be a baby again. Whoa!
Storm's really picked up.
Yeah, no shit. Our poor weird tall long dogs are probably cold.
That's the next town.
Look at them.
Following you.
Poor weird tall long dog. Also, I like how Ellie said, I'm gonna follow you, and then we've just wandered on ahead.
Where are we? A few minutes out. Okay.
This is horrible. Bad storm. Aww. Just gotta remember the time that you did spend with them was a good time.
We won't make it. We're almost
Precious
there.
babies. Alright.
I know, girl.
Horse!
I know. Keep going.
Come on, let's go!
Dina, how much further?
I think we've lost her, Ellie.
Dina?
I think she's gone forever because you won't let me make horse go fast.
Dina?
Weird tall long dog says, we are just gonna walk on through.
Dina, where are you?
It's fine, we don't need her. It's fine, Ellie. Don't worry about it. Well, I have walked in a circle. Maybe we just go into one of these houses. Aww.
Where are you?
Precious baby.
Ellie.
That's adorable.
Come on. This way.
Big dogs too, though. I love big dogs.
Trust me.
Great Pyrenees are lovely animals. St. Bernards too.
Inside.
Alright, let's go. In we go. I would love to have a dog again at some point. Goodness. Absolute unit of an animal. I have my little baby over here.
You been here?
Here's my
Real
baby.
quiet.
Hi. You
Never
wanna say
came
hello?
inside.
Hold on. Here she is. Here's the tiny kitten. She's not actually a kitten. She's an old lady. Hi. Mama. But this is Lamia. She's wonderful and super sweet and very sleepy all the time. Aren't you, baby? Look at her. Are you my good girl? I think you are. I'll set you down, okay? It's the gunky baby. It's the gunky kitten. Hi. He says, love me. Don't pick me up and not love me. You wanna sit in my lap? This, okay. He says, I'm gonna be a noodle. You my noodle kitten? Yeah? What are you doing? She says, I sleep here now. Okay, come here. I want you to sit with me, okay? Because I love you, and you're wonderful, and you deserve all the pets, but I'm also streaming. Okay? So I kind of need my hands. Aww. Sweet baby. It's a good thing you found him then. Hi. All of the cats that we have at the house are rescues as well. Because it's better to rescue and or adopt. Isn't it, kitten? Yeah. Sorry, my hands are getting nibbled on now. Hi! Hello, kitty. It's true. What if I just rest my hands on you? Is this acceptable? She seems okay with this. This seems like an alright compromise.
I gotta see what's back there.
How, Ellie?
Doesn't feel like anyone's been here in a while.
Alright.
Lock a window.
No.
Someone's locked this place up. There's something back there. I think I see a bed.
Yeah.
Think we got a squatter?
Ugh.
You see another way in?
I just need to reposition myself just a little tiny bit so that I don't drop her, and also so my foot stops falling asleep. Alright? Alright. Great. Let's go, Lamia. I'm in a library. I don't know where I'm going. Hi! Lamia, you just made me reload my gun. Sweet precious kitten. I love you. You're too much sometimes, though. Look at our little horses. Do you want down? Is this you deciding that you want to melt to the floor? Alright. Alright, whatever you say. Whatever you want. Hi! I need to get her more treats. I am all out. How? That's how.
What's going on here?
Here I was being like, I'm not sure how to get in here. Just break the window. Just smack it.
All this electronic stuff?
Glass can't stop us. We go where we want.
Are you sure?
Thanks for stopping in, Thanos. I hope you have a good rest of your day, your time zone, whatever time it is for you. Again, thank you for the follow. And yeah, we'll be around. Hope to catch you sometime soon. Thanks for being here and chatting with us. It was lots of fun. Sorry, Lamia's just made her way across the room to just stare at me. Eugene!
Definitely Eugene's place.
He
was a firefly?
Restore the balance.
He served with Tommy.
Dang.
I had no idea.
Yeah. They got into some real dark shit.
Like what?
He said he blew up a checkpoint at Denver QZ, killed 3 soldiers, and 2 civilians.
Oof.
Jesus.
He also told me that he and Tommy slow tortured some big Fedra general. I don't know. I don't buy Tommy doing that, though.
He could do worse.
What do you mean?
He and Joel did a lot to survive after the outbreak.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, we got... I got my It mug. It's just Pennywise. Don't worry about it, Emmy. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's not real. It can't hurt you. Look at that PlayStation 3. Look at that high-def PlayStation 3 with Uncharted 2 and Jack and Daxter. Dang. What's this other one? What's this other one? Can't read it. Terrible. Should have done it. You should have done it. I'm proud of you though, Fruity. You're doing great. Should have done it though. It's a good way to weed out the weenies. Right? It's also a very good icebreaker. Hey, did you know? In Red Dead Redemption 2, the horse testicles react. It's the temperature around you. Right? We have to let them know what's going on. Hold on, sorry.
Join the Fireflies.
My shirt has like rolled up and bunched up around my stomach and it feels horrible. Fair point. Hi, Mama. My stinky kitten. Alright. Eugene, I'm begging you to come home. The Fireflies want to save the world. I say let them. Let them go after the military, the politicians. Let them develop a vaccine to save mankind. Maybe one day we'll live to see the fruits of their fantasies. Until then, I have to put our daughter first. Fireflies will be fine without you. Your daughter won't. She keeps asking me when you're coming home. I can't lie to her anymore. I miss you, but I don't know how much more of this I can take. Come home, please. We love you. Claire. Well, Claire, it doesn't look like Eugene came home. Sorry. Hey, there's a generator. Ellie, that's what I said. Whee!
That's better.
Well, yeah, that's my box.
Impressive workbench, Eugene.
My bad box that I've already smashed because my other box broke. The way... Full capacity. Stability, actually. I decided. It's wild how much anxiety not having my little stupid foot box has caused me. I'm using a littler box right now to like keep my feet up off the ground, but it's very flimsy and it's already basically broken. Like, again.
Hello.
This is fine.
Ellie, look at the floor. There's more.
Oh, I know what's happening. I hate this part.
Down?
Not here.
Follow the cord. Ellie, if we could stop turning off our flashlight, that would be cool. Do it.
Come on.
Do it. So what time is it? Hi, David.
Down here.
Don't
It's
worry about
obviously
it.
a sex den. That's why he didn't tell you about it.
Oh, same hat.
I hope it's a sex den. For his sake. He was so lonely, man.
But yeah, don't worry about the horse testicles. Yeah, David, you should know that this is normal. Nothing. You missed nothing.
It's weed.
That's a lot of dead weed. This explains a lot.
Blaze it! Give me
Hey,
this.
he's got that videotape thing.
Huh. Dong of the Wolf. Smash Brandy's cooch.
Are these
It's porn.
interesting taste, Eugene?
Eugene, I have questions. Eugene, I have
Maria would
questions.
lose her shit if she saw this place.
How'd he get this together?
Must have taken him forever.
I wish he'd told me about this. Could have helped him out.
Oh no. Oh no.
Dina, it's a gas mask bong.
God, he was so smart.
That is an asthma attack waiting to happen. I can't even look at that without feeling my lungs just shut down.
Oh, there we go.
You think it's still good?
Does weed go bad?
Let's find out.
You having a hard time?
No, I got it.
Okay, well, while they're having their stupid little minute, I'm gonna get more water.
Give me that.
Oh.
Tina,
yeah,
get out
if
of
you're
here. No
gonna
one
do it.
likes you.
Okay. It's...
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it.
Tina! You've got glass in your weed
What's wrong
now!
with you?
I got it open, didn't I?
Oh my god!
Smells good.
There's weed in your joint! You fucking idiot!
Gonna be stuck here a while, right?
Hey, Dina.
Totally trapped.
Hate her.
Can I ask you a question?
I don't know.
No.
Can you?
Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, like, absolute trash. And 10 being life-altering. How would you rate our kiss from last night?
0. 0.
Why are we still talking about this? You said it was a mistake.
Did I say that?
What are you doing?
Ellie, you can do better than her.
Our kiss?
You can do better than Dina!
I don't know.
I give it a 6.
A 6? Wow.
Like a solid 6.
Okay.
There were a lot of people around.
Yeah, but 6.
Oh, what? I mean, now I really want to know how you'd rate it.
I don't think you do.
I hate this.
You're infuriating.
Have you met you?
Dina's just so
You make me
shallow
wanna go back outside into that blizzard.
and horrible and not funny
What's stopping you?
and just mean and bad, and I don't like her.
This better be better than a 6.
Why couldn't they have given us a better lesbian? Not a 6 and an 8, not a Rob Wilson's third round. We can't escape Rob Wilson's third round, can we? It'll just keep coming back. No matter what we do, it keeps coming back. Emmy, I see the thing that you sent. Oh my god, it's looking so good! That's all I'll say on that right now. Oh! There's zombies here.
Infected.
This is fine. I would believe that. Rob Wilson's third round never actually finished. It's continuing on to this day. Oh, I should run. I should just go. This is a situation in which we just go. Abby, you're doing fine. Keep going. It's bad here! Oh no! Okay, that was much shallower than I was anticipating. I need to stop jumping into the water! Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. Life is Rob Wilson's third. And all the world, its players.
Shit!
Ah, okay, that is where I needed to go. I left a med kit back there. Oh well. Go through, Abigail! Get him, get him, get him off, get him off, get him off, get him off!
Give me your hand. We're gonna have to run. There's too many of them. I'll cover you. Keep going. Come on, this way.
Abby, he saved your life. You're not allowed to kill him anymore.
Hold up. This way. Come on.
I'm coming!
You okay?
Okay.
Where the hell they all come from?
It don't matter. What does is where we going.
Okay.
I reckon
Eat,
we go
eat
out
the
the
candy
back.
bar.
We can make a break for the lodge.
I ain't got a better idea.
Give me
We gotta
that.
warn everyone. Come back with a cleanup crew.
We gotta live through this first.
God damn it!
Uh.
Some bitches are everywhere!
Abby! Oh,
Through this door! Come on!
I need her to, like,
Hurry!
do a thing. Oh! Okay. I'm coming! This is fine. Don't punch the crowbar!
That door ain't gonna hold them for long. We need to
Okay,
hurry.
so what are we doing? Help!
Up there, the window! That's our way out! You see a way up there? Here, use this! Hey, girl!
What? I'm here! What do you want?
Push it up onto the cart!
There we
Get
go!
inside. I'll get the gondola to the window. You two keep those infected. Okay. Damn, this thing is heavy.
Stop! Thank you, Joel. I love you. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
Hey, you still with us?
Yeah.
Keep at him.
I want a shotgun. Nope, it's behind me.
Almost there.
This is horrible and terrible, and I am scared.
Whoa, go! Let's go!
Okay. Abby shouldn't get a shotgun, you're right, but I want a shotgun. And I am unfortunately Abby right now.
Get close to us!
I'm coming.
It's this way! Come on!
Everywhere.
Don't slow down! Head for those doors!
Let's go. Whoa! Whoa! Running into snowboards. Woo! That was great. We did it.
I'm Tommy. That's Joel. What's your name?
Abby.
Abby, are you okay? That ain't gonna hold. We gotta go back. We can outrun them all the way to Jackson.
Consider more boards.
Tommy, we cannot stay here. The horses ain't making it all that way.
My friends are at a mansion just north of here. It's fenced in. We have the whole perimeter secure.
It's a Baldwin place. I can work.
All right. I'll get the door.
All right. You ride with me. Come on.
Still just incredibly baffled at how she has held onto a grudge this long. Despite the fact that, like, so many people have died during this apocalypse, you know? Like, come on. There are better uses of time.
When I was 12, I found a skateboard.
Uh-oh. And I tried to get on it. And it shot right out from underneath me.
Wait, how did you get the scar?
I fell on my knife.
Idiot. Not a Christ error over the zombies.
Okay. The chemical burn. I did it myself.
Why?
To cover a bite mark. Right here. I got jumped by an infected when I was 14. And turns out I'm immune, so it healed with a ring of fucked up teeth marks and cysts and...
Ow! Fuck you.
What? Hey!
I told you a real fucking story.
I did tell you a real fucking story.
Oh, you want a bite mark?
Dina, get out of here.
Did you hear that?
Jesse? Just stay there, okay?
Are you okay?
Just will you
What's
wait,
going on?
please? What? Just turn around. What are you doing?
Are you kidding me? You're supposed to be on patrol.
There's a blizzard outside.
Is that weed?
Why are you here?
People
It's
are
like-
counting on you.
It's
Get
like
that?
Joel is a
What we
common
do
name or
matters.
something.
Well, then why aren't you at the fucking lookout?
Because Tommy and Joel didn't show up.
What do you mean?
We waited for them for an hour. I was looking for their horses when I saw lights.
Maybe they just went back to town. Without being replaced? No way.
How much of their region have you covered?
Not much.
Then we split up. Go at it from different sides, and we can cover the whole thing in a few hours.
I don't like you riding solo. We don't know what's out there.
Exactly. What if they need help?
Okay, I'll head west. Dina can take south, and you come from the east, but be smart about it, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go! This is fine. I'm sure nothing bad is gonna happen. Oh boy. I want a Molotov like that! I want a Molotov that's that effective? Words are hard?
Scared us.
I know. How you guys doing?
We're good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
You want to get those saddles off?
No, it's all right. We'll just ride out the storm and get out of here.
I've got any brushes or a towel or anything?
Enjoy your walk, Emmy.
You were nothing but lucky.
You have no idea.
How'd y'all get electricity in here?
Where the fuck have you been?
There are solar panels on the roof.
Who are these people?
How long y'all been here?
Since yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yep.
What are y'all doing out this way?
I'm just passing through. You two live nearby?
We do. A few hours down the hill. Y'all should come back with us, restock before you head out.
Appreciate it. I'm Mel, by the way.
Tommy, this is my brother.
Joe.
Wow, everyone's so subtle.
Looked like you heard of us or something.
Because they have.
Nora? All clear?
He's out. Put him against the wall.
I'm already annoyed.
Get off me!
I'm already annoyed.
Puta madre.
Joel Miller.
Who are you?
Guess.
Abby, Joel's killed a lot of dudes.
Why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed? Get this over with.
Tourniquet his leg. Do it.
I love Joel. I love Joel so much.
God! Damn it!
Oh, buddy.
Clear out. You stupid,
just so senseless.
You don't get to rush this.
I don't know. I think Abby's motivations are the stupidest. Everything considered.
Shit. How do I get down there?
You fly! Get a blanket for your weird, tall, long dog. Poor dog is cold.
Come on. Please be okay.
Oh, Ellie, do I have some news for you?
Joel! Tommy!
Woof. We're gonna get through this bit, and it's basically gonna be time for us to end. It's gonna suck for y'all.
There it is.
Joel? Tommy?
Don't yell. You need to stop yelling. Let's go.
Fuck.
Get off me! Get her hands! Get the fuck off me!
You got her! Look, you got her! Okay?
You're gonna fucking die!
What's going on?
Let him go!
Who is that?
Let him
She
go!
snuck in.
Why aren't you posted up outside?
We didn't think anyone was gonna show up.
The hell did you expect? We gotta get out of here.
Y'all
before the whole town
suck.
gets on us. You're done.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Joel, get up. Joel, fucking get up. Please stop. Please don't do this. Joel, please get up. I'll fucking kill you.
Mm.
Ellie.
Dina, go away. Dina, go away. Dina, you are not the face I want to see right now. Go away.
They're down here.
I'm just over the stupidest thing. I don't understand Abby's motivations at all. I get why she's all tore up about the situation, but it's like, what is this gonna do? This isn't gonna fix anything. It's not gonna change anything. I get that that's kind of the point. The whole, like, revenge is pointless. It's just an endless cycle of violence. But also, just, like, get over it. It's a fucking zombie apocalypse. Everything's shit. People are gonna die. I mean, I know, but it's still just, like, dumb. Yeah, I know. It's not. Honestly, I'm not even that upset about it as far as, like, the game is concerned. I get it, and I understand that that's the point. Fine. Cool, let's tell that story. Just very much just like, Abby, this is, of all the shit that has happened in this game, yours is the stupidest reason to be doing this. Genuinely, though, that's, like, not a complaint that I really have about the game as a whole. It's fine.
Maria wants to make sure you're eating.
She can't stop us.
To have the guys that we would need to do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, but that's what's happening.
What if we get hit by hunters again?
Is this you talking or is this her?
It's a valid point.
If it were you or me, Joel would be halfway to Seattle already.
No, he wouldn't.
He absolutely fucking would be.
Well, we don't even know for certain that they're from Seattle.
Washington Liberation Front. That's what you said was on those patches.
What if they stole those jackets?
That's...
What if the WLF moved?
What are you doing? You know what? I'm leaving tomorrow. And if you want to come with me, great.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is, how armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
Give me a day to talk to Maria. Okay? There's got to be some folks you can spare.
And if she won't budge?
Well, I'll figure something out.
Also, their expressions are so good.
One day. Please.
Fine.
Okay.
Saeed.
want to stop at his house before we leave. We just have to pick something up. Okay.
Oh, Joel.
I couldn't get to the horses. Looks like Tommy took one. Now Maria's got the stables locked down.
Fucking Tommy. We'll figure something else out on the way. A car or a horse or something.
Okay.
This makes getting to Seattle a lot harder.
Then it's gonna be harder.
You can still change your mind, you know?
I know.
You should,
I
Dina.
just want you to feel like you have to.
Ellie. You go. I go.
You don't have to. You can stay here. Dina, don't come with.
You need to get your backpack.
I hid it by the east gates. I figured we'd want to slip out that way.
Can I run now? No? Okay. Just walk slowly over here. That's fine, I suppose. Really give us a few minutes to just stew in everything that's happened.
Hey. What do you need? I can go get it.
I want to do it.
Okay.
I'm okay. Come on.
I'll hang out down here.
Thanks.
Good. Leave me alone. Go away, Dina. I like this house. Zoom. You just drawing an owl in your journal? It was a Saimu mug. Right? Even Joel was a fan of Saimu. I figure we can, like, read the journal and stuff, like, at the end of stream. Or we can just ignore it, whatever y'all want. I'm down for whatever. Joel was into whittling. Dang, Joel. There's nothing in there. Great. That's what I think that's the goal. So I want to look her up before we grab it. Aww. Oh, and that's Joel and Ellie petting the horse. JK, this is what we wanted to grab. This is fine. Anything else? No!
Everything okay?
Gib. Dino, what do you want? I'm having a moment up here. Can't say it's a nice time, but it is a time.
Maria, I'm headed to Seattle. I wish I could let it go, but I can't. I have to bring these people to justice. Ellie's gonna try to come after me, but stop her. Take her guns, lock up the horses, maybe lock her up. Buy me some time so I can end this. Love you always, Tommy. He's gonna get himself killed.
He should have taken me with him. You should have given us a group to go after those fuckers.
I wish I could.
You gonna try to lock me up?
I'd prefer that you stay.
That's not gonna fucking
I'd
happen.
prefer that you stay, but I know you better. You going with her?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna sneak out of here? Hmm?
Yeah.
On foot?
Yeah.
I told the stable to let you out with your horse.
Thanks, Maria. You're dope.
Grab some ammo, too.
Is she, though? I hate Dina.
Thank you, Maria.
I hate her so much.
Just, do me a favor and bring my dumbass husband home in one piece, please.
Of course.
All right. Get going, you're losing light.
Seattle Day 1 already.
This hunter was on top of him, drowning him, and Joel couldn't get to his gun.
Jeez. Were you scared?
Well, I didn't even think. I just ran in there, grabbed his gun, and shot the guy in the face.
How old were you?
14. How old were you when you first killed someone?
We talking infected?
No. Fully conscious, non-fungal person.
10?
Wow. What happened?
Guy was coming at my mom. I stabbed him.
Shit. You got me beat.
Yeah, I'm a real badass. So how lost are we?
Poor babies.
We're not.
Uh-huh.
Hey, have a little faith.
What about those crazy cannibals you said you and Joel ran into? They came after you guys once.
Not
Maybe
the cannibals.
these WLFs are connected to them.
No. It didn't seem like the same group.
Maybe those black market smugglers back in Boston?
Dina, Joel crossed a lot of people. I don't see the point in guessing.
Okay.
Until we find out more information.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy cannibals were definitely a little wacky. David was a cool bad guy, but oh boy was he a bad guy. I'm kind of tempted to stop here, because this is kind of a good place to... That's... Jesus! 6/29/2020, literally almost 2 years ago to the day. Wowie. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to stop here, because this is kind of like a good place to pick up on Wednesday. And I don't necessarily want to get us, like, in the middle of combat, or even more in the middle of a conversation, so we might call it here for now. Yeah. But we'll... Sorry, my PlayStation is so loud. I don't think you can hear it, but I can hear it past my headphones, and it sounds like it's about to take off. Yeah, I think we'll probably call it here. I'm gonna enter rest mode. Right? Yes. PlayStation says, "Noom! We're going to space." So yeah, we'll play more of this on Wednesday. I am enjoying getting back into it. It's been a while. And I do want to finish it. I do genuinely want to finish it. And I know I was kind of whining about the whole, like, Abby's motivations are so dumb. And it's like, I get that that's the point, and that's fine. I have no issue with it. That's honestly not one of the big gripes that I have about this dang game. So yeah, I like it. We'll keep doing more of it later. Until then, though, shall we find somebody to raid and say hi to? Who all is online right now? Let's see. We got Thought Level doing some retro. Excuse me. Toadsworthy doing some Dead by Daylight. ATM Zero doing some Neon White. Q-Chew doing some Somnium Files. Hey! I need to finish that game. Any of those sound good? Does anybody have any recommendations? We've kind of said hi to, like, all of our friends vaguely recently, and we haven't really said hello to new people a ton. We did meet somebody new the other day, and that was kind of exciting. Otherwise, we could go say hello to Chew. I think of everyone that is on my list at the moment. Chew was the last person, or is the one that we've rated longest. Like, it's been the longest amount of time since we've rated them. Yeah, let's go say hi to Chew. There are our raid messages if you're gonna come along and hang out. Chew is wonderful, delightful, darling human being. Oh my god, it helps to spell Chew's name correctly. Goodness gracious. Alright, we're gonna go say hi to Chew. And yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday for more Last of Us. And then fun things on Friday. I'm very excited for Friday. I'm so dang excited for Friday. But yeah, until then, take care of your dang selves. Have a good rest of your time zone. Well, thanks for being here, friends. I appreciate hanging out with all y'all. Until then, bye.